Hello. We just got back from sailing on a 7 night British Isles cruise on the Disney Dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great cruise. We're going to have a bunch of videos talking about some different experiences. But in this video, we wanted to talk about what it was like to use the Disney port transfer from London to Southampton and from Southampton back to London. When we were researching this cruise, we looked at a lot of different options from getting to London to Southampton because it's not that close. It's
No.
about 2 hours away, about 80 miles. You have a bunch of different options. You can take the train, which was what most people from England actually suggested we do.
Yeah.
You can take a bus, you can rent a car, you can hire a car, you could take a cab or an Uber, but it's going to be super expensive.
Yeah.
So, after looking at all the different options, researching, talking with friends who had done it, we ended up going with the safest option that there is. We called Disney and we used the Disney Port Transfer service to get from London to Southampton and from Southampton back to London. There's a bunch of different reasons we chose this, but I think the big one was less stress.
Less stress. And, this is kind of like of the times, but at the moment they were having trouble with strikes on the trains. And you
Yep.
never knew from day to day if they'd be running. So this might not be an issue in the future. I wouldn't think they would have that issue at all in the future. But for that moment, this was the best option for us without having to worry about any of that.
Yeah, for sure. And the booking was super simple. You just give Disney a call, you tell them where you'd like to stay, of the options they give you, and they bundle it all together. They
Hmm.
put us in a great hotel. It was the
Hmm.
JW Marriott Grosvenor House, and it was in a great location, which we'll
Yeah.
we'll get to as well. But the main point is that Disney has great partner hotels, and even though
Hmm.
it's not a Disney resort, if you've done port transfers from the resorts before, a lot of what we're going to talk about is going to sound familiar. But there are some things that were specific to London that I
Hmm.
think are worth knowing before you book something like this. So while this wasn't done through Disney, the process all begins with getting to London. And for us, this means flying to Heathrow and taking a cab to the hotel.
Hmm.
The problem for us is that our cab got us to the hotel around 9 a.m.
Yeah.
and you can't check in to the Grosvenor House until around 4. I mean, you can check in, but they
Hmm.
won't have a room for you. But what they will do is they'll take your bags, and they'll hold on to them in a secure area, which was great. But even though we couldn't get our room, we were able to go to the Disney check-in desk.
Yes.
Yeah, they have a dedicated desk for the Disney cruise where we were able to get additional luggage tags.
Yes.
We got our morning character assignment, which we'll
Hmm.
talk more about, but it's how you know what group you're in. We found out that our bus would be the 9 a.m. bus,
Hmm.
and we let them know that when we had our room number, we'd come back and give it to them to schedule the luggage pickup.
Yeah. Which they already knew before us. The hotel informed them, so we
Oh,
didn't even
yeah.
have to worry about it.
Yeah, by the time we got back to the hotel around
Yeah. They
2:30,
already knew.
they already had everything figured
Yeah.
out.
It's very Disney. You don't like they got you.
Yeah. And just like if you're at the resorts in Florida, if a Port Canaveral transfer, they were dressed in obviously Disney clothes.
Yep.
They have all the normal things that you would find very familiar. And the desk was right in the lobby
It
area.
was easy to find, and the check-in clerk at the front desk actually pointed us in that direction to make sure that we knew that they were there.
Yeah. We would find out later we were one of several hundred people
Yeah.
who was there for
Yeah,
the
it was
cruise.
kind of fun. The vibe of the hotel, everyone was excited to get on the cruise the next day.
Yeah.
So it was a really fun atmosphere, and it was a large number of people.
Yeah, it was great. So overall, the transfer process felt pretty similar to what we've done in the past.
Hmm.
You get your luggage ready, you put the tags on it, and you have it waiting for someone to come get. At this hotel, they will pick it up at 7 a.m. the
Or
morning of the port transfer.
at
No earlier than
no
7 a.m.
earlier than 7 a.m.
Yeah. So we had our luggage ready at 7 a.m. and we went down and had breakfast.
Yep.
And if you do stay at the JW Marriott Grosvenor House, don't skip the breakfast.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, this was included with our room and transfer package through Disney, so there's no
Hmm.
reason not to have it. but it was a ridiculously good
It
breakfast.
was a great experience. It was our first like British breakfast, so it was a good way to ring in the trip because they did it right.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm harping on the food so much, but I really liked
I
breakfast.
did too.
All right, so once you've had your breakfast, you go back to the room and you notice your luggage is now gone.
hmm
So then you're ready to go. You just go down to the lobby around your assigned time. For
hmm
us, we have a 9 o'clock bus. It said to be there by 8:45, so we were there around
Yep.
8:40.
We were in the Mickey group, so they gave us little Mickey Mouse stickers to wear on our shirts so that you could find your group easily. And the attendants had big signs or paddles that they held up with that character when you were ready to board your bus.
Yeah, the process was pretty simple.
hmm
You just find a place to sit, and this is when we realized just how many
That
people.
everybody was leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there weren't a ton of places that were in the lobby area to sit, but this is an expansive
It
hotel.
was.
There was plenty of seating throughout the first floor area. And they did a pretty good job of moving up and down the space to make
hmm
sure that you knew when it was your time.
Yep, they were constantly making announcements, and there were several people there to ask questions. And it was pretty easy peasy.
Yeah. And the 9 o'clock bus began boarding at 8:45.
hmm
If you have luggage, they did have room under the bus for luggage that you didn't have checked,
hmm
but it all would come with you. So, we're talking about, like a carry-on, a backpack, things like that.
Yeah.
So we got on the bus, we sat there for probably 10 minutes, and then we got going.
Yeah. And it was a really nice bus. It looked
It was
fairly
a
new. It
Mercedes.
was a Mercedes Benz because it's Europe. It was super clean.
It did not have a bathroom.
Does not have a bathroom. Did not have television or any type of
Yeah.
entertainment on board. So if you have small children, bring your iPads.
Yeah, and bring them charged because it didn't have charging cable
No.
ports or anything. And really, this is even without traffic, this is an hour 45-minute ride.
hmm
So definitely, and there's no stops. So
No.
definitely make sure you're ready for that before you get
Right.
on. The ride was super easy. It's,
Yeah.
the
It
first
was
half is getting to Heathrow.
it was pretty much highway the whole way.
Yeah, and then
And
the second half is 60, 70 miles an hour.
right. And we went on a rainy day, so
Yeah.
that kind of slowed us down a little bit, but it was pretty smooth.
Yeah. By the time we got to the port, it was really coming down.
Yeah, it was.
And if you've been to Port Canaveral and taken the buses in, they're covered.
hmm
And then you walk in, and it wouldn't really matter what the rain was. But here it mattered because they had all these buses lined up, but it's not a covered area. So
Right.
they wanted to wait until they were really ready for
hmm
everyone. And they don't open the port doors until 11 a.m. And our bus got there probably 10:45.
Right. And they had to check in concierge first.
Yes. I would say we're the fifth bus in line.
hmm
And so what they did is they went bus to bus and they gave everybody a sheet of paper that basically said, these people took the port transfer, let them bypass the line
hmm
and get straight into the security line because people were already queuing up who had driven themselves or taken transportation. And they didn't want the rain to diminish the experience we had paid for.
hmm
So
Those people were under an eve.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were totally fine. But if all of us had gotten off the bus, there wouldn't
there
have
wouldn't
been
have
enough
been room.
space.
Yeah. The check-in process was super easy. It was just like Port Canaveral, with one exception.
Yes.
When we go through and do everything and they get you all checked in, you then might say, hey, could you activate my magic band?
Yeah.
It's too late.
She had forgotten because she saw my Apple Watch on one wrist. I was wearing my Magic Band on the other. And once you are through your check-in process, they can no longer activate your Magic Band. And it took me a few days to actually get it activated because the concierge desk on the ship had a lot of lines the first couple of
Yeah,
days.
it was packed.
So just remember to tell them during the check-in process and you'll be good.
Yep. And again, like we mentioned before with the check-in process, you have to have your passport and your boarding papers, and the form of ID you have has to match what you checked in with on the app.
Online. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get through the check-in process, and then we went to security. This was a little different
It
than
was a
Port
little
Canaveral.
more amped up. It felt more like an airport than getting on the
Yep.
ship. They actually had men remove their belts and everything
Yep.
like you would expect going through TSA.
And then you go from security just like Port Canaveral, up a flight of stairs.
Yep, or
to,
the escalator.
Yeah, escalator,
Yep,
yes.
to the second floor.
The waiting area,
Mhm.
which was pretty similar. Large seating areas, concierge, people were off in their own little private
No
utopia.
big yellow Mickey ears, though.
No, they're definitely, this is not like their dedicated
No.
port. So we had to wait just a couple of minutes. And remember those cards I mentioned they gave us on the bus? If you read the fine print, at least on ours, it said that we could now board with group 3.
Right, we had previously been 4, so they actually bumped us up a boarding group for our inconvenience,
Yeah.
which was not very inconvenient.
But unfortunately, they also put everybody
Right.
on every bus into group 3. So group 3 was everybody.
There was a non-existent group 4. We were just all threes.
Yeah. But it actually was great because there was a photo line that we bypassed because we didn't buy the photo package. But that meant we got onto the ship from the moment we got to the security check-in process to being on the ship. Couldn't have been more than 15 minutes.
No, it was
super fast.
So easy and fast.
Yeah, and then once you're on the ship, you know the deal. Yep. You're on a cruise.
They announce your name and you're on your way.
Yeah. So if you fast forward, I guess 6 nights, because you have to prep a little bit the night before for the debarkation process, we did the port transfer back to London. Mm-hmm. The difference with this port transfer is that it didn't matter what hotel they brought us to. We picked the DoubleTree West End because it was relatively close to the hotel we are actually staying at. Mm-hmm. The Sanctuary House, which we'll do another video on. Yep. Such a cool hotel.
It is.
So the normal luggage process is really followed here. The night before, you tag your luggage, you put it in the hallway by 10 p.m.
You're assigned a character.
Yep. And then you get your luggage the next morning as you debark the ship and you get through customs. The only real difference was that you could kind of tell you weren't at Port Canaveral and that it wasn't quite as streamlined with getting people off the boat. And there were so many people that were doing the early walk-off.
The express off, yeah.
Because they were taking the train back to London and they had to be on the train schedule to get moving. And I think that just slowed the groups down a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I think we spent a little more time waiting to get off the ship than normal. But it didn't matter because our bus wasn't going to leave until 9:30 anyways.
Right, there's no pressure.
Yeah, it was, very familiar process. Getting through customs, just like Port Canaveral, you walk into a big room, you grab your luggage, and then you go through a security area. Yep. We never really left the country. I mean, we did technically because Ireland isn't part of the UK, but there was no customs process. No. We didn't have to declare anything. It was very simple. You grabbed your luggage and you went.
And our luggage was right next to our character sign, just like in Port Canaveral. Yeah. Very easy to find everything.
Yeah, and then after that, it gets a little bit more chaotic.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people getting off all at once.
It is. And so you'll take your luggage and you'll walk through what would be the security area, and then you'll come out to an area with 2 lines. Mm-hmm. There's one line for people who are going to take a bus to Heathrow or Gatwick, and there is a line for people who are taking the buses to their hotels.
Right.
And if you go in that line, you'll go into a waiting room.
Right.
Which was kind of nice. A lot of seating. It had some vending machines that take cards. It had restrooms.
Took Apple Pay too.
Yeah. Yeah, everything in the UK.
So they boarded the airport transfers first. So hotel transfers waited for their shuttle to arrive in a air-conditioned, nice little room.
Yeah, and every once in a while they'd walk in and somebody would yell, Sofitel or, JW Marriott, your bus is ready.
Yeah.
No one ever came and yelled our hotel, but someone came in and said, hey, I see
it was there.
Yeah, they're like, the DoubleTree bus is here. Yeah. Go over there and you'll figure it out. And so we went over there and someone said, well, go ask that person in the high vis. So we went and asked them and they said, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Go ask that person in the high vis. I'm like, well, they just sent me to you. And then the guy's like, oh, I don't know them. And they just walked away. And so we just walked every bay.
Well, we still figured it out.
No, we walked each bay.
Every parking spot had a number.
It's just going to DoubleTree.
Yep, and they all have their attendant loading bags into the bottom of the bus, and we found the DoubleTree guy and got on the bus. It was no big deal.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. It was, but there's like 50 buses parked there. So it just takes a little bit to finally find where you want to be. Once we got on the bus, This is where you need to be careful because what we thought would be a 90-minute, maybe 2-hour
Right.
transfer took a lot longer.
Yeah, we had made reservations for lunch in London, and other people had tickets to go see the London
Yeah,
Tower.
all at
And
like 1
yeah,
p.m.
we all thought, we'll get back to London around 11, 12 o'clock.
Yeah,
And
I mean, a 9 o'clock bus transfer, even a 9:30, should have you back in London by
yeah,
11:30. So a 1 o'clock lunch reservation should be pretty safe.
yeah,
We didn't get going until almost 10. We
right.
sat on the bus for about an hour. And
Because they
again,
won't leave people behind. If you're not off the boat yet, the rest of us have
yeah,
to,
so hurry up,
yeah.
people. But again, no restrooms.
Yes, no
And so
restrooms on
get
the
your drinks
bus.
ahead of time, all that kind of stuff.
Right,
And then once we started driving back, we hit a lot of traffic, we hit a lot of construction, and the
yeah,
ride itself took over 2.5 hours.
right. All of the exits around Heathrow were just gridlock,
Yeah.
and it was,
It took long enough that we didn't get to the drop off location until after 1 p.m.,
yeah.
for a bus that we boarded at 9.
So a lot of us were making calls and canceling appointments, but I'm
Yeah.
sure it all worked out
Yeah,
anyway for
it
everybody.
was fine. We found a great place to have lunch.
We did.
With the Doubletree drop off, and really probably all the hotel drop offs, they start unloading your luggage and they just put it on a sidewalk in a very busy part of town where bag theft is a real problem. So
Hmm.
get off the bus and find your stuff immediately.
Right. Or have an air tag in it for sure.
Yeah. And so we got our stuff. We walked about a half block down the street and we hailed a cab.
Hmm.
We'll talk in another video more about how to get around London with some different public
Oh, yeah.
transportation options. But if you have a couple of bags, hail a black cab.
Yeah.
The black cabs have storage for so many people and bags. It's ridiculous. Just get on. If you have wheeled luggage, lay it on its side so it
Right.
doesn't roll around
Hmm.
and get where you need to go. Super easy process.
Right.
And that's it. Like that was the whole thing.
Great experience.
Yeah, super easy.
Would totally do that again because you don't have to worry about anything. They just take care of all of it.
Yeah. Just, what would you do different? Or what did
Well, I know I rushed in the morning of debarkation because I thought that our group would be the first to be called because I'm used to the buses leaving fairly early. And it turned out that it was super chill. I would have probably went to breakfast and not lingered in the atrium as long as we did. Just kind of trust the process and wait for your character to be called over the intercom to come to the atrium.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's pretty much the same, but it wasn't so much about the breakfast, but just these moments along the way, like when we were delayed 2.5 hours, or
Hmm.
when we were stuck in the rain and we had an 11:30 appointment on the ship.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
we did like a kickoff.
yeah, and so I'm sitting here at 10:30
Yeah.
thinking, are we going to make this? I think it is really just kind of trusting
Yeah, and
the
we
process.
made it.
We made it
We
with
were
plenty of time to
early,
spare.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think if you go with this model, uh, it's just so stress free. Yes, it
Mhm.
costs a little more than taking the train. I want to say it was $90 for the transfers there and back. It wasn't that much more expensive than the train.
No.
When you think of how much you spend on a 7-night British Isles cruise and the flights, international plane, and
Getting to
then
the port is kind of an
yeah,
intricate part of the
like I wasn't gonna skimp on this last part. We
Right.
we had 5 bags with us. The idea of going through Victoria Station and taking the train,
Right.
and then having to get a cab or an Uber from the train station to the boat, being in boarding group 17.
Right.
It just
Yeah. A
those
lot of
things were
things that are out
stress.
of your control when you're on your own.
Yep. So for us, this made a lot of sense.
Mhm.
If it makes sense for you and you found this video helpful, or if it doesn't make sense for you, but you just feel like being a good person, maybe click like or subscribe. We're gonna have a ton of more information about things we did on this cruise. We have another upcoming cruise to Progresso,
Yeah.
and we'll have
And if you have any more questions that we didn't answer, feel free to ask and we'll get back to you about it because it was a positive experience for sure.
yeah. And I guess I should say our channel's not just about cruising. It's
No.
just that our last couple things have been cruises. We have some other trips coming up that we'd love to share some stuff with. Some
Sure.
trips to DC,
Mhm.
taking the Amtrak,
Yeah.
a little nice camping village up in Virginia in a couple of weeks. So
Disney's Hilton Head
Disney's Hilton Head. Yeah, if
with
you've
the grandbabies.
ooh, very exciting. So, we will have things other than cruise information, but we really like talking about our travels and the things that we learn along the way and
Yeah.
that maybe wish we had known ahead of time to make things a little bit easier and have more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, subscribe, smash, do all that stuff, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.